Going back to the manual, we talked about 289, talked about the disciplinary process. One thing to keep in mind, polygraph examinations. Peace officers cannot be compelled to take a polygraph exam. I know that I've had members before volunteer to take them, and sometimes the state will take them up on that, sometimes they won't. If it's one of those things that's clearly the employee is adamant it didn't happen and is willing to submit to a polygraph and the state doesn't want to do it, we have before had members submit to polygraph examinations through NCA's approval, of course, and then get those results without the state knowing. So then we can have a polygraph examiner's report as far as the credibility or veracity of the member, and then if it's favorable, of course, turn it over to the state saying, the member may or may not have offered to take a polygraph, the state didn't take them up on it, we took the member to an examiner, and here's the report that upholds, as far as truthfulness of the member's position, and that sometimes resolves cases at that point, sometimes it doesn't. The main thing about polygraphs is they're not admissible in court, but they are admissible in the administrative hearings, and the reason they're not admissible in court is because they're not that reliable. So it's one of those things that even if we, and it happened to me recently, it wasn't an NCA member, but we took the member to a polygraph examiner, got a favorable outcome, favorable report, presented that to the state. They didn't necessarily agree with it. We ended up going to hearing, presented to the hearing officer, and it's one of those things that's, I think, was best described as an art based on science, I think was the polygraph examiner's definition of a polygraph exam. And it's one of those things that you can shoot a heck of a lot of holes in the process that they use and the reports that they prepare, but bottom line, I wouldn't encourage anybody, encourage anybody to take a polygraph examination because it's one of those things that isn't that reliable. But it is a tool that we can use based on the circumstances. See, we covered Garrity. The bottom line standard for disciplinary actions is whether there's just cause for it, whether it's in the good of the state to have this employee either terminated or suspended. And it's a pretty broad standard, but it's a legal term that has quite a history as far as what constitutes just cause for disciplinary action. And again, those can be things like how those similarly situated employees have been treated in the past, personnel file, disciplinary record, if they have good evaluations, no discipline in the file, progressive discipline has to be followed, so unless it's a very severe case, you can't, or the state can't jump straight to termination for most offenses, but it's one of those things that that's what a hearing officer will decide. A couple things also to keep in mind. Be active in the interview, like I said, but don't be confrontational. I mean, these are things that, some of the investigations or the allegations don't have any merit and it seem like just a total waste of everybody's time. Remember, the IG investigators are just doing their jobs. They're collecting those facts to do their report to hopefully not sustain an allegation against a member. I know that you don't believe that may happen that often, but it does. And it's one of those things that you have to maintain a working relationship. Yeah, they're on the other side technically, but it's one of those things that it's going to be more helpful to have a good working relationship with the IG's office rather than be confrontational all the time with them. A couple other things that are in the rep manual, the NCA's bylaws, Exhibit F. Those are things that all members should be familiar with, all the representatives should be familiar with. because that's what controls this association. And then tab G is the contact information for the representatives and officers of the association, and even the reps at each one of the institutions. And this is something that we need to keep updated on, that we need to pass around to the members so that they know how to get a hold of the representatives when they need them, and the representatives can talk to each other as well. We try to do that through email, of course, as well. In the website, there's all the electronic media that we have as well to keep everybody in the loop, because bottom line, communication is the key to an association like this, so that your members know what's going on, your members know how to get a hold of you when they need you, and you can talk amongst yourselves so that you can represent your members in the best way, the best ability that you have.